Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brendan, and I hope all of you guys are having a great day no matter where you are from. And today is one of those days where we get an absolutely ridiculous amount of news dumped on us, most of which is actually very positive. Now, we also have Bitcoin outperforming NASDAQ on the day, and I want to dive into that as well, but as you can see from the top here, there is a bunch of different tabs that we need to talk about. News from Celsius to Kwon to new regulation, and even Robinhood rolling out their Web3 wallets to over 10,000 different people on their test run. And uniquely here, they didn't run with Ethereum for their Web3 wallets, but we'll save that for when we get into that discussion. So if any of this does sound interesting, make sure you stick around for the entire length of the video, as there will be important information discussed the entire way through. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive on in over here, take a quick look at the price charts so we can see what is happening with the overall market. Now, if you're part of the Crypt Nation crew, then you would know that we just wrote a big news article talking about the strength of the US dollar, which we will take a look at in this video, and how it is making pretty much every other market, whether it's the pound, the yen, the euro, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, stocks, real estate, you name it. We do a comparison showing how the US dollar's rise in strength is affecting everything, seemingly every market. It's wild. But to give everyone a glimpse of that, we can see that NASDAQ right now is down around 0.25% on the day, and Bitcoin's actually teetering on the line of being up 0.01%. So it's almost at break even on the day. So as for the time of making this video, Bitcoin is actually outperforming NASDAQ on the day here. Even though it's ever so slightly, it's still impressive to see something like Bitcoin outperform NASDAQ in a time that has been really bearish. Now, yesterday, one of the big things that I want to note is that if we zoom in over here, we had a really nice candle go all the way up above the 20-day moving average and actually come back down and turn red on the day. And if we want to measure this out, we can see that Bitcoin went all the way up almost 6 to 7% on the day, about 6.5% green on the day, retraced all the way back down and ended up turning about 1 to 2% red on the day and rejected that 20-day moving average. Now in NASDAQ, we saw something similar, not nearly as extreme up to that 20-day moving average, but a very similar kind of hammer formation where we went all the way up and then retraced significantly back down to our open price on the day. And then NASDAQ actually today hit a new low of day. It's actually a new low of month as well, and it's still red on the day, whereas Bitcoin is ever so slightly green on the day. So if we're looking at what's happening over here, I also wanted to show everyone what I was just talking about with the US dollar currency index, the strength of the US dollar hitting multi-decade highs. I mean, the last time that we have seen the US dollar at a level like this was all the way back in probably like 2002. In fact, I'm gonna have to scroll over even more to see this. But yeah, it's gonna go all the way back to 2002. And this just shows us that this is quite the anomaly. Normally, we are able to find some sort of comfort in alternative assets like maybe gold or silver or bonds, but we really don't see any kind of comfort anywhere right now, despite us being in a bit of economic turmoil. So the situation that we're in right now really is and can only be described as an anomaly, because both risk on and risk off assets are both being hit really hard, and there seems to be no escape from the dollar tsunami that's happening. Now let's get into some of this news over here. We're going to come back to Kwon because I don't think he's the most important thing that we have to talk about. But the crypto exchange FTX is replacing its US president. Now, that doesn't mean that Sam Bankman-Fried is going anywhere, because FTX and FTX US are two separate entities. And so while they are replacing its US president, this is a little bit peculiar because FTX still has over $1 billion in liquid assets that are available. And this comes after all the investing that they've done this year in surviving the bear market and everything else. They still have a lot of money. Now, like I said, FTX and FTX US are two separate entities, but it is strange that of all times right now, he seems to be moving on. Maybe he was forced out. Maybe he left on his own accord. At the end of the day, behind the scenes, we're not really going to know. However, this was all over the news. FTX has had a fairly solid year so far. Now, going back to the same idea, FTX wins the bankrupt firm Voyager's assets. They put in a bid for $111 million, and they won. And so this is really, really unique. And myself and the Crypt Nation team and some of the team from the TIE, we were all talking about how this could affect FTX. Is this going to be a positive thing for them? Is it even going to be worth it? And time will tell, but ultimately I think a lot of the Voyager's name here has been shot. And so unless they offer compensation or a way out for a lot of these people, they're still going to be very toxic towards Voyager. And unless they find a way to reconcile that, I don't really see this being as all that of a good PR stunt. Or maybe that's not the right word, but I just don't see how it's going to be a good idea for them if they can't compensate the people that are hurt, because otherwise they're going to stay hurt, they're going to stay angry, and they're not going to come back to use Voyager. And maybe they give some of these assets back. Maybe that comes in the form of the FTX token. I guess we'll just have to wait for that answer, but there's a lot of questions that we have. Obviously, yes, they did win the assets, but what's going to happen after this is, I think, what everyone's is actually excited about. I don't think it comes to too many people's surprises that they were the ones to win. Their bid was significantly higher from the looks of it from everyone else. But I digress. Let's talk about what's happening over here on Robinhood now. So Robinhood is releasing a beta for their Web3 wallets, and this is getting rolled out as a beta to 10,000 separate users. Now, the unique thing here is that they are rolling this out on Polygon and not on Ethereum, even though Ethereum 2.0 just launched, and there's a lot of hype and excitement about this. Another big part of this article is that they're not going to be working with NFTs directly, even though this is a Web3 wallet. But they could have plans to roll that out in the future. So for right now, they have 20 different supported cryptocurrencies, and you're going to be able to have access to this wallet. One of the big features that they had previously ran is that you're going to be able to deposit and withdraw cryptocurrency. And so if you made the waiting list for that and have it enabled on your account, then you're going to have access to that as well. Now the other side thing, and I feel like I'm an infomercial here saying, but wait, there's more, but it comes back to Robinhood saying that there's going to be no transaction fees. And this can happen because of one of two ways. Number one, they're saying that there is no transaction fees because they are running on Polygon or on the Matic network. Or number two, they've done this with stocks for ages now, and the way that they've been able to do this is by determining who they are brokering these buys and sells and transactions with, and taking advantage of some of the arbitrage opportunity and filling you at a less than ideal place, essentially. And so the question here is, are they doing the same thing with cryptocurrency, or are they trying to be a little bit more accepting and a little bit more kind and just giving everyone zero transaction fees because it's on Matic and fees are essentially just so cheap it would barely hurt them at all. And so that's kind of the argument here. So let me know what your thoughts are on this in the comment section down below. I, for one, am curious as to how they are getting to zero transaction crypto fees, because every network has, almost every network has some sort of a fee, whether it's 1 cent or $1 or whatever it may be, anything in between there. Pretty much every network has a transaction fee. So how are they making their ways around this? Are they taking advantage of the orders behind the scenes, or is this because of the Polygon / Matic platform or chain? And this is just another, article kind of tying into this, just going back to the idea that this beta will not support NFT trading or marketplace activities. However, this will be slated for that later rollout. So lots of cool stuff over here. So far, lots of positive news. California is trying to regulate and target 11 different crypto trading desks that operate like Ponzi's. I, for one, am all for getting anything that could be considered a Ponzi out of the space of crypto. There are so many dumpster fire crypto projects that will offer you a gazillion% yield that you have limited withdrawals for, and it's just never been proven right. There's never been a project that has existed. They've all failed that promise you these ridiculous yields that become unsustainable. And I'm not talking about something that's a 1%, a 5%, a 20, something like that. I'm talking about the ones that are offering you hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of percent. I am yet to see that work effectively in the long term of any financial project, let alone cryptocurrency. So maybe I'm just skeptical. I love DeFi. I absolutely adore DeFi, but I'm yet to see these ridiculous Ponzi scheme like cryptos work effectively. So if they want to regulate these Ponzi scheme cryptos, all the power to them, and I have no problem with that. Now let's talk about some of our final articles over here. Now Celsius is looking to buy up, now Sam Bankman-Fried is eyeing up Celsius. Now we just talked about them winning the Voyager assets, and now he has immediately turned his eyes towards the Celsius assets. So how crazy would this be if Sam Bankman-Fried was to immediately get the Voyager assets and immediately turn his eyes to Celsius, and then all of a sudden take over Celsius and kind of maybe reconcile them? There's a lot of things that he could do here, and this comes just hours after the departure of Celsius's former CEO, Alex Mashinsky. This came to a surprise to some, not so much a surprise to others. Obviously, he has been absolutely under the gun, under fire for the larger portion of this year. So I think a lot of people imagine that it was just a matter of time, but before all this fire started, he was seen as a really prominent figure that a lot of people looked up to in the crypto space. Obviously a smart guy, and he had to deal with some unfortunate situations that was pretty much caused by Terra Luna and UST, but he had to feel the ripple effects of that because of decisions that were made. And so this would be a really, really interesting one that I just want to mention so that it is still at the front of everyone's mind. But Celsius, they're getting eyed up by FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, so keep an eye out for that one, because that could be another absolutely wild story of FTX just engulfing the crypto market one project at a time. And in final words, mentioning Terra Luna and UST just a second ago, the South Korean government seeks to freeze $62 million of Bitcoin that is linked to Do Kwon's accounts. And from this, they are still trying to get a hold of them. Do Kwon claims that he is not on the run. The South Korean government claims that he is on the run. They're trying to freeze all of his assets. He seems to not be so stressed. I would imagine that he has more money, especially if it's in a private wallet, then he will be fine because they can't freeze a private wallet. And I'm assuming here that these $62 million in Bitcoin are from various exchanges. And that's what it seems to allude to in here. We're talking about KuCoin and OXK. But at the end of the day, every cryptocurrency, everyone who's serious about cryptocurrency should have some money in a private wallet or on a ledger or somewhere other than an exchange, just for safety purposes. And I am fairly confident saying that Do Kwon does as well. So it will be interesting to see if the South Korea government gets a hold of this money, what they will do with it. Will it just stay locked up for years and then auctioned off later? We don't know yet, because they're just trying to get into the process of freezing it right now. But if there's one thing for everyone to watch out for as we are moving into the latter part of this week, keep an eye on the DXY, or the strength of the US dollar. So long as this thing keeps going up, it's looking like everything else is going to go down. And if you want to get access to that newsletter and all this information early, consider going to CryptNation and signing up there. I am happily one of the analysts over there, so it's a great team to be a part of, and I love what I do over there. So if you want a link to that, there is a link in the description down below. And in our latest newsletter, I get to talk about everything that is happening when it's paired against the US dollar. So it's a really cool write-up. And if you're already a member of CryptNation and you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend reading it. And with that being said, Bitcoin's up 1% on the day. Now, I think this is going to be a good place for us to close out. If you did enjoy the video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. We make videos like this every single week, multiple times a week. So if you want to stay updated with what's happening in the cryptocurrency world and the world of blockchain and everything that is happening, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smack that like button, and drop me a comment with any questions that you have. And until the next video, I will see all of you very, very soon.